Yeah. Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's the program for Wednesday, August 13th, post DCI Finals. We have a new champion, new champion for the first time ever. Daniel Montoya Jr., Aiden Spicer here for General Effect Media. We won't talk about it too much right now. We'll get into it. Yeah. But shocked, surprised, excited, expected, what?
So my emotions were all over the place because I did predict them winning.
He did.
But I regretted it all week because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be wrong. I was like, because to be honest, like when I kept watching the Blue Devils and Blue Coats. I kept watching the Blue Coats and I was just like, man, there's just no way. I was like, they're winning. I was like, they have to win. And like I was sitting there, I was like, dang. And all my friends are like, you went the whole season saying blue just to change it to Boston last minute.
It's true.
And I was like, and I did. And so I was like regretting. I was like, yeah, I should have said Blue Coats. And then they won. And so I was like, well.
Everyone's not commenting about your picks, that's for sure. Everyone's making sub tweets comments about mine, which I'm assuming, which is fine. But yeah, you were there live. You were there in the Dome on Saturday.
Yes.
We were in Military Park on Friday. Were you there for anything Thursday, or was it just a travel day?
I mean, I was in the lot a little bit Thursday.
Oh,
yeah.
You did some lotting. Yes. If you didn't catch that episode, we were at Military Park all day Friday. We did some nice interviews with some staff, with some design, with some fans that recognized me, which is always a treat for me. I love being recognized and acknowledged, and Aiden does not, but he was. So, I don't know, whatever. It's cool.
Did I say that I wasn't?
Yeah. It's like, hey, do you want people to come up to you? Well, not really. But then I asked if you would prefer Jem over the Shade soloist. And you said,
yeah. I worded that badly.
It's fine. So basically, if you see Aiden on the campus of the University of Texas, don't ask for an autograph, or do ask for an autograph. Do.
I'll sign your trumpet on the silver.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
Or I don't just... like Sharpie never coming off.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, you should have an engraving. Then it's always on there. Something like that. Yeah. So, Military Park. It was my first time being a fan at Military Park. I've been there before with Drum Corps working on the job, but this time you got to just walk around and see everyone and hear everyone, and what a fun experience. You got to experience a lot of different groups. Yeah. Throughout, not just brass, but you did percussion also. So Were there any groups that you really enjoyed and to hear what they did and saw and all that stuff?
Yeah, immediately like off my mind, Spirit of Atlanta in the lot. They were very good.
You did text me
very
about
loud. Same thing with the Blue Stars.
Yes.
It was really awesome seeing them rehearse that triple tonguing thing that they do in part one. And it was good. It was real good. I've always wanted to go to a Boston Battery lot. It's always been a bucket list item of mine, so I did get to check that off.
Did you manage to get in there close, or it was like surrounded? It was a lot
I was
of people.
able to see the baseline.
Oh, okay.
So I
could have been worse.
Yeah.
Could have been way worse. Yeah. I did see that you went and saw the Blue Coats and the Carolina Crown.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
What'd you think about all that? Did it further your decision that you want to audition for the Blue Coats?
Absolutely. Actually, yeah. Oh. One of the things I admired most about the Blue Coats was there wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it. Like the group wasn't trying to do too much with their presence. Like they were very calm, very relaxed. They started the lot with them just singing and dancing. So it was a very chill environment, and nobody was like trying to do too much, like, oh, we're gonna look cool. They were just like, we're the Blue Coats, and I was like, that's cool. So
it's the practice like you perform, right? Like if they're gonna be loose on the field and like that, then you should have that in all aspects of what you do and still be professional and all that kind of stuff. So
it was really cool to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we get to it? Why don't we get to the events of Saturday evening? As you know, as you are watching this, and we talked about it, the Boston Crusaders won the DCI World Championship. If you don't know much about the Boston Crusaders other than the last 10 years or so, they were founded in 1940, and they are one of DCI's originating or founding members of the Drum Corps. It took 27 years from the minute they started to reaching their first top 12 appearance in finals. So it took a long time. A ninth place finish in 1999, which is 26 years ago. 23 years later, the Corps earned its first medal, because because they got into second place.
Yeah.
They were second place 2 times. If you aren't familiar with what has happened over the last few years or whatever, they were 12th place in 2016. That was the year them and Madison were fighting out to get to finals. Madison was leading, but then the lead just got smaller and smaller until it was basically a finals week surprise that Boston then jumped into finals.
Yeah.
Fun fact, did you know that Boston rented out Lucas Oil, I think on the Monday before finals week, and that caused DCI to put a rule in place that says you cannot either rent or something.
When was that? What year?
It was that 2016.
Oh, cool.
Yes, it was a sign of things to come for the Boston Crusaders as he does this thing, because that was also the season that Boston bought, purchased, offered their way to get Gino and Colin and Lee and May over from the Cadets and Crown, Michael Townsend, to go all the way to Boston. And then 2017, they got there and they just leapt into 6th place, I believe, with Wicked Games. And then from there on, it's just been a rise to what many would consider to be inevitable.
Yeah.
That it was bound to happen.
Takes a little bit sometimes.
Yep. 2 years of close enough, not close enough, but close. And then they won the DCI World Championship with a score of 98.425. Bluecoats were in second with a 98.25, which is the same spread, I think, that Boston won prelims with. I could be wrong. I didn't write that one down, but it was like the exact same from one of the previous nights. Vanguard finishing in third with a 96.7. So I got the top 3 right in getting the top 3.
Yeah.
You got it right in the right order. So good for you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Boston, because it is a combined caption award, and that we could discuss whether they should do that or just win it on finals only. Boston basically swept all the execution awards: color guard, percussion, and brass.
That's why I also think it was a good call for the morals of drum corps for Boston to win, because if we had another season where a drum corps won all those captions and then didn't win it, even though it's like, well, yes, but it definitely, at least they won. So like, it makes sense, honestly, with all the captions, and not many people are probably going to be as angry. I feel like there would have been more backlash if it was the other way.
Yeah, and we can talk about that in a sec. But I agree, and I will say it's spoken like a true Spicer in the excellence is the highest form of effect. Your father's like big on like the band that played in March should win, and the band that played in March the best won. DCI, that's right, I said it. Second place was the Bluecoats. They did win the General Effect Award, and they did win the Visual Award. Yes, they finished within .175. Yes, and this is their 5th top 2 finish in the last 6 seasons. So Bluecoats, Boston have been top 2.
Yeah.
Pretty consistently.
Great place to be.
Yep. Santa Clara was in third, 96.7. They placed 3 spots higher than they did in 2024. So they improved from 6th to 3rd.
That's huge.
After taking a year off. After like, are they coming back? They came back and they did it, and they came back even stronger. 4th place, the last time you could say that was in 2005 with the Dance Derby of the Century, Blue Devils.
Jeez.
5th place, Carolina Crown. 6th place, Phantom Regiment. 7th place, Mandarins. We were both wrong in the predicting of Phantom Regiment over Crown. 0.5, so it's pretty, like it was a pretty significant amount of space that they felt. And it was all 3 nights that Crown was above Phantom.
And I completely agree. Like after hearing it, it's like, yep, they did a lot of changes, and I don't know, they really pushed, and I just feel like it had the show develop more.
Agreed.
And especially with the emotion and the soloist at the end, like it was just like,
okay. Now, this is a designer critique, because they're only doing what they were told to do. And I watched it, and I enjoyed it, and all that stuff. What I didn't like is that the soloists ran, put down their shako and put down their horn, ran back to only run by getting chased. So to me, that was I know you have to get rid of your stuff. Why didn't you just put it by the pit? I don't know. This is just me going like, oh, like in a horror movie, like, oh no, let me take my glasses off and run back, and like, oh no, I'm closer. Oh no.
Or I don't know. Or maybe it was like to draw more attention, because it's like, I don't know, moving back and forth, trying to get, because I mean, it is with one little person on the field and you're on the box, it's kind of hard sometimes. That's a valid point. Somebody smarter than us let us know
why they did that, or if I'm right,
or if we're just overthinking
or
it.
we're
and
overthinking it. Well, do you remember when DCI released DVDs of the shows? Did you ever watch that? The physical discs?
I don't think I was.
That's fine. They okay.
I think that's before my
So
time.
they did that, and they had designer commentary. So they would have Michael Gaines or Jeff Fiedler or whatever. One year, the cadets, George Hopkins, the former director, I think it was Angels and Demons when they won, which was the first Bandia show to win DCI. My words. He talked about it, and he was like going on like, this represents the Angels, and this is the Demons, and Then he goes, this part's just drum corps. Like he kind of just like, this is what it is. And so maybe for Crown or some of these other ones, like, it's just drum corps for this 30 seconds. Just let me.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be picked apart.
Anything crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. The core, the Blue Devils, has been in the top 5. So now we have to extend the thing every season since 1974, which is great. That's 50 plus years. Dude. And they've been the top 4 every season since 1991. So still like nobody's taking anything away from the Blue Devils just because they got 3rd and 4th.
They are doing just fine.
Yeah. They did get high as 3rd in total visual. So, it wasn't.
That's cool.
I think a lot of people like us picked them to maybe like, are they going to drop to 4th or 5th? And they really kicked it into gear to finish 4th. So good for them. Carolina Crown was in 6th, basically in the middle point of the season, which is probably why you and I were thinking about they were going to play 6th. Mm-hmm. But they found their way to move up, and they have placed the top 5 every year since 2007. So a good record for them. This matched their placement last year. They did beat their score from last year, and they finished 3rd place in music analysis. So they were like, hey, good music to you on the Carolina Crown, which meant the Phantom Regiment, 6th place. And, since they made the change post-COVID on design teams and coming back with J.D. Shaw and some of these other changes, they've gone from 12th in 2019. Now they're at 6th place, and many people's favorite drum corps, with many people's favorite show. And they now hold the record for the longest continuous streak of finals appearances at 50. So they've made 50 straight years of DCI finals. Good for them.
Wow.
Yeah. Mandarins, Private Resort Island. Is that what we said?
Island.
6 consecutive finals appearance. So good for them. Is this the 2nd or 3rd year in a row they play 7th? I think it might be the 3rd.
The 2nd? Because what was the... They were 5th.
Oh, they were 5th with the Cinderman show.
Yeah, Cinderman, the red
Gotcha,
show. Yeah.
Gotcha. Which was, to me, their best show that they've done as a finalist. My favorite show for them as a finalist. But 5th and then 7th. 5th,
and then 7th, yeah.
Yeah.
Still in a good place.
Yeah, absolutely. A solid, not a worry from any of them. Like, are we not going to make finals? I think it was just a matter of, are we playing before the intermission or after the intermission? But, 8th place, Blue Stars. Did you predict Blue Stars in 8th? I don't remember.
I think so. I had Blue Star. No, I think I had the Cavaliers.
I think I might have as well.
Yeah, it was Cavaliers, Blue Stars, and then Troopers.
Gotcha.
That's what I put. But...
It ended up being Blue Stars, Cavaliers, Troopers, Colts, and Blue Knights. We had all 12 correct. Some of the orders were a little bit off.
A little bit.
Some might say mine was egregious because I picked the wrong winner, but a lot of us picked the wrong winner, so whatever. Blue Stars
won.
Exactly.
Prelims,
exactly.
So.
They don't need me. Blue Stars moving up 1 spot from semis to finals. So the Cavaliers were above the Blue Stars, and then it just, they matched last year's position, which was 8th place that they had last year, and they have finished them in the top 8 in the last 5 of the 6 seasons, getting 8th. They still placed above the Mandarins in brass in 7th place, which I'll dive into more in a future episode about this. But Blue Stars brass, really good.
Real good.
Real good. Last year, the Cavaliers were not as competitive as they had been, finishing 11th, almost finishing in 12th, if not for the strength of their percussion section.
Yep.
They moved up this year to finish in 9th place. So that's great. The percussion finishing in 5th, which pulled them up a little bit, gave them a little bit battle probably for Blue Stars for the 8th and 9th spot, but good for them. 3rd consecutive year, the Troopers have placed 10th place with their show, The Final Sunset. Percussion finishing in 7th, once again, their strongest caption. Colts, 4th consecutive finals appearance at 11th place. I believe they were 9th last year, the last couple of years, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then after missing finals for the last few years, the Blue Knights, top 12, back in the finals, improving from 14th place last year with an 87.45, the Corps' highest score since 2019. Were there any surprises or any thoughts or anything that struck you or moved you about finals? Because you saw them in the dome. I imagine you were in some pretty swanky Spicer seats. Tell us about it. What do you have to say about Saturday night?
I'm going to be honest. I was a little shocked about Bluecoats not winning.
Spicer shocked.
But at the same time, I've just been going back and forth. It's like you have to respect the Boston Crusaders, and it was electric, and the audience really did drive their performance. Especially with the Bluecoats having to go after them too. But I thought personally, I thought that the Bluecoats were going to take it, but I mean, it was decimals. So obviously at that point it was just some people just had to make a call, and they did. And I don't necessarily disagree either. It's just kind of just like, oh, well, but this is going to be debated for like 10 years. So
I agree. My prediction of Boston Bluecoats didn't come true. I did predict 2 out of the 3. It was just the wrong 2 out of the 3. I did say this, that I did not think the Bluecoats could win performing after Boston.
Yeah.
And Bluecoats performed before Boston in prelims, right?
Yep, before. And then it swapped to after because then they won.
Right. So then for finals, they performed last. And they performed after Boston.
After the stadium had like 15 standing ovations.
I stand by what I said. I think that was a huge contributing factor. Now,
Bluecoats had their fair share of standing ovations.
Correct.
It just wasn't as many.
Boston and Bluecoats to me are a great example of the heart versus the brain, or your mind, the whole left brain versus the right brain. And apologies if you're doing that marching band show. I will see 15 of them. But like Boston was so emotionally like visceral. It was obvious in a good way.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And you're not going to question it.
Correct. Bluecoats, you had to, pay attention. Yes.
You had to look bluecoats.com and get a little bit of background. Like, oh,
correct.
Binary data. They're like, it was the science experience, like all the stuff they were talking about. And like, once you read it and you watch the show, you're like, this is fantastic.
Correct.
But still my favorite show of the year.
Some people, I don't mean this in a negative, don't want to think when they go to a marching band show or a drum corps show. Some people want to watch nothing but Marvel movies. And I'm not belittling anything Marvel or Boston show. But you did have to have pre-existing knowledge to really appreciate and get Bluecoat show.
I think like as somebody, like I've always liked how Bluecoats have pushed the activity. So like their shows, and especially this one, has been like, I've just been interested in wanting to dive into it because that's the type of person I am. But it is like totally normal for someone to just be like, man, I don't want to think about it, which is fine. And that's the cost of pushing the activity, is sometimes people aren't going to want to do that. So
yeah, for sure. You can have, if we want to put it in, Blue Devils have won so many championships being deep and artistic and a little like, I don't really understand it. Bluecoats won with Downside Up, with the show that there really wasn't a whole lot to it.
They just did look at what we can do.
It was really cool. And they changed the game with the uniforms. Tilt was a crowd favorite. There was not a whole lot to that. And they did a whole lot of great things. So, I think that there is room, obviously, every year for any kind of show to win.
Boston had that Phantom Regiment emotion from last year. They blew up the field, and it was awesome.
It blew it up because it was boom. They boomed it up. I will go on record as saying I don't know that there was a stronger performing drum corps that I've ever seen live than the Boston Crusaders. And I've seen drum corps for decades. And that doesn't mean that, they could meet Fellini-esque, which is the Blue Devils, who has the highest score. Blue Devils at that time was also one of the best performing ensembles I've ever seen and had the show. And I'm not going to change my tune just because they won. I'm not going to retcon or anything. I still don't think Boom, the show itself, is a championship show. I think the Observer Effect from Bluecoats was a championship show.
Fair enough.
They did not perform it at the same quality as Boston Crusaders, and performance, as we saw, won out. And you have to reward playing and marching at the end of the day.
That's drum corps.
And, at the end of it's just marching and moving around and playing and spinning. And I don't know enough about color guard, but I've had so many people tell me they think that was the greatest color guard they've ever seen.
Which
is
you don't have to know a lot about color guard to just be like, whoa, that's in time.
Correct. It's great. It's amazing. That battery is one of the best batteries I've ever seen.
My favorite was at the end of the Boston show when they do the big nuke explosion at the end, and if you're watching the video, if you're not, but if you're watching like the drum line, like they were just freaking but it was fast. I couldn't comprehend. I'm like, how are they playing so fast and their stick heights are like to the moon, just classic Midnight. It was awesome.
No, it was fantastic. One of the greatest performing drum corps I've ever seen. I still prefer someone else's show to that, but if I just turned off my general effect brain, and not just the general effect media, but my general effect brain, just let's just watch them playing and marching. Boston all
Fair
day.
enough.
Hands down to there. If we dig into the recap, and there's not a whole lot of craziness, really. There's not much at all. One of the reoccurring themes is, and this is what also reinforces what I have just said about the show that the Boston Crusaders had. In finals, 2 of the general effect judges had them outperforming their design. At semifinals,
Exactly what we were just talking about.
I think 3 or 4 of the general effect judges had them outperforming their design. In fact, I think it was. So actually, as I look at it, it's 3 of the 4. This is what it was. The 2 visual judges had visual GE had them in 3rd, but had them in 1st and 2nd in performance, saying you are outperforming your design. Jerry Miller, who was on music, 1st and 1st, so he called it there. Caleb Rothy, 2nd in rep, 1st in performance. So it is not an opinion that I make just because I'm a hater or you're never like boss. There's none of that. I literally
You're reading the sheets.
I read the sheets and I judge general effect. This is what I do. But as we'll get to in the other captions, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. So this is why Blue Coats won general effect. They won it at the night. They won it overall. Anything interesting? The Blue Devils got a 6th place in one of the general effect subcaptions in performance, which is wild. You can look it up. It's D Deems. 5th in rep, 6th in performance, 5th overall, which is wild. That same judge, Carolina Crown, 7th in rep for general effect visual. It's a little harder for me to argue with that one, only because Blue Devils have been so historically great in visual. Crown, historically, music's been their thing.
Yep.
Same thing with the other general effect 1 judge, Padilla, which is also a visual 7th place in their rep. Overall 6th place in GE when they were a 5th place drum corps. Phantom Regiment getting some 4th places from that D Deems, also Caleb Rothy, to help them finish in 5th in general effects. So that basically Phantom Regiment had the better show than Carolina Crown did on Saturday night. Mandarins getting 2 6th place subcaptions in general effect. Blue Stars getting a couple of 9th places, even though they finished 8th in general effect. The Cavaliers getting 4 different 10th places in subcaptions. One from three of the 4 judges, rather. Troopers getting 1 11th place. Colts getting 5 subcaptions as 12th place. Blue Knights getting those 5 captions in 11th place. So some mixing and matching. Didn't really matter much as we get into the next caption spreads, which were visual. Boston Crusaders, look again. 3rd place in content, 2nd place in achievement, 3rd place in content, 1st place in achievement, reinforcing the idea that they were outperforming their design. The optimists may say they were just that good at performing. The analytical may go, they outperformed their show. But,
both are fair.
Both are fair. One is more right than the other way. Now, they did get 1st place in color guard. They got a 9.8 in content, a perfect 10 in achievement, a 19.8 to win color guard. I don't think anybody would argue with that.
Nope.
But they put the Blue Coats in 2nd place with a difference of 0.3, which essentially erased the entire gap or the lead that Blue Coats had over Boston for general effect. Now, don't know much about the Blue Coats guard. I couldn't tell you the intricacies of why a 0.3 is significant enough. There was a 0.2 spread between 2nd and 3rd. There was a 0.4 spread between 3rd and 4th. So having a big gap is consistent for this color guard judge.
Yeah.
But color guard really saved the day for the Boston Crusaders.
Yeah, getting straight ones.
Straight ones.
Near perfect score.
Yes, and when we get to music, at that point, it became the Boston Crusaders show. Vanguard winning first in content visual, which we kind of saw that coming.
Yep.
Second place in visual analysis content, both over the Boston Crusaders, which we had talked about. Another weird number, a fifth place in visual comp for the Blue Devils. A visual just not strong for them this year.
I really like their visual, but I'm not a visual judge, so
who knows? Yeah. Who knows what person they were watching at that time? Carolina Crown getting a 7th in Color Guard Achievement. Phantom Regiment getting a couple of 5th and 4th places. Blue Stars getting a 10th in achievement in visual proficiency. Nothing crazy out of the ordinary. Troopers getting some 9th places, did get a 12th place in Color Guard content. But for the most part, it was that Boston Bluecoats battle with the Color Guard opening up the lead. Which takes us to music, where Bluecoats had their work cut out for them, and it didn't quite go the way they wanted to. If we look at brass, Bluecoats won brass by outperforming their content. I don't know.
I don't agree with that.
If we sat Kevin LaBeouf down and we said, "Did you play your show perfectly?" He would probably say no, right? Because that's a hard book, and I don't know that it ever locked in. Like, if you had told me a perfect 10 in content and then a 9.85 in achievement, I would have bought that. But you're telling me that you think the Boston Brass nailed that? Bluecoats Brass nailed that, and this is not taking anything away from Bluecoats. It's just that show was so hard. I don't know.
I would have had the content over Boston personally, but
agreed. But here's the other. But Boston's book was so obvious in its look at all our tongue gymnastics.
When I say that with a grain of salt, because Bluecoats did some things that some judges may not like, because they did a lot of electronic effects, and they modified some of their features, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. But I know that there are some unks out there that hate it, which it's fine because they're from a different era, but.
You said didn't like. I will go so far as I didn't understand it.
That's fair.
I think a lot of them I go like there are people.
They're calling it cheating. It's not.
Correct. They're like, well, I don't like I'm glad the drum corps that didn't synthesize their brass sounds won. It's like, well, like they probably thought the whole thing in that back corner with the side chain.
Do they not know that every drum corps is mic'd anyway?
You're doing a bang up job, judges. All right, music analysis. This may be a tidbit that only interests me. Chris Olenowski, a percussionist. He had 2 percussionists on the music panel. He gave the Boston music analysis 1-1-1, which is fine.
Fair enough.
Bluecoats 2-2-2, but had a 0.3 spread. Another huge spread when every other music judge, well, we get to percussion. Most judges had a very tighter spread between Bluecoats and Boston, which I would have bought. 0.3, I don't know that I think Bluecoats is 0.3 worse than Boston. You could give me 0.2. And I know you're like, well, what's the difference? It's a big difference. The power of a 10th. And then we get to music analysis by Jeff Harper. Put the Bluecoats in 3rd in music analysis. Fit them under Carolina Crown, who was 5th overall. He put them in 2nd with a 19.6. Put the Bluecoats in 3rd with a 19.5. A 2/10 spread.
Okay.
I don't buy it. I don't buy that they put the Carolina Crown has been the bell carrier, the gold standard of brass for so long. I totally get it. But not this year. Not this year. They are a 3rd place at best hornline compared to Boston and Bluecoats.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't get it. I don't buy that.
They were a lot better, though, at finals.
Absolutely.
In Indy, they were significantly better.
Yes.
That much better?
Right.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. If we look at some of the other cores before we get to percussion on there, Blue Devils, some crazy 6s in music analysis by Jeff Harper and Chris Olenowski. Like, this was a weird year for the Blue Devils. A lot of 6s. They're not used to seeing that. Carolina Crown getting that 1st place in music analysis achievement from Jeff Harper. We mentioned that one. The Cavaliers, basically 10, 11, 12 until you get to percussion. They were 5th place in percussion. That's what probably saved them. Troopers, 9th, 8th and everything, but they were 7th overall in percussion. Colts getting some 12th place finishes. Blue Knights finishing in 10th in music brass. So good for them. Which takes us to Jeff Brooks, percussion judge. For the 2nd time in history, a drumline got a perfect score. Jeff Brooks giving the Boston Crusaders a perfect 20. Not since the 1987 Cadets, I believe, or 86. Someone correct me in the comment section down below. 0.3 above the Bluecoats.
Yeah.
Battery-wise, I 100% agree.
I don't have an ear for front ensemble.
Well, as a percussionist, I do. And that Boston Crusaders battery, that won the award. And it's no fault of the performers in the front ensemble. The content that they were given, I don't believe matched the content that the battery was given and did not match the content that the Bluecoats were performing as a front ensemble. I think the Bluecoats had the better percussion ensemble, if you take everything into account, which one should. But it's hard. There's a saying we like to say in the percussion world, snare lines win drum trophies. If your snare line is good, if your trumpet line is good, you're going to win brass.
Line. Yeah.
You absolutely get it. No offense to the tubas. No offense to the front ensemble.
If your trumpets are bad, you're bad. So tell your trumpets that they're bad if they're bad.
And Boston had an amazing... Everything about their battery was killer. And everything that the pit did for Boston was good as well. The content was not at the same level of a Bluecoats, maybe even Vanguard. I didn't watch Vanguard's pit that closely. But...
I mean, it is a little crazy to a perfect score, but if there's anybody who deserves a perfect score in drums, it's Colin McNutt.
In battery, that is correct. And this is not a Boston shouldn't have won drums. That's not.
They should have.
They should have 9.9, 9.9, and you still have them over Bluecoats. And guess what? Chris Rapacki gave them such a huge lead in prelims, a 0.35 gap. There was no way anyone not named the Boston Crusaders were going to win drums. Like, it was solidified on prelims night, and it was hammered in gold and metal and concrete on semis. So if you said 9.9, 9.9, or 10.0 in content, 9.9 in achievement, you still get the point across. What do you think about all that?
I mean, the 18-year-old in me is just like, man, who cares? They're Boston, and they have aura. But I like...
But see, that's the thing. Like, this is me nitpicking, right? Like, yes, should they have won? Sure. Give it to them, but give it to them the right way. I know you're going like, what does it matter? I totally get it. And people in the comments, you're overthinking it, bro. I don't know. And that's fine. You're entitled to that. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Yeah, true.
I'm old. Now, we don't want to forget the cores that competed in semis that were competing for finals, especially those that had some captions or sub-captions that put them in finals. Yep. For example, Color Guard. Pacific Crest placed 12th place in Color Guard. Boston, over the Blue Knights, who were in 13th place. So that was from 15th place. Like, Pacific Crest was 15th, right? Dang. It was Spirit, Madison, Pacific Crest, if I remember correctly.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. Music Analysis. Spirit of Atlanta, who was 13th, placed 11th, which pushed the Colts down to 12th, Blue Knights down to 13th. So Spirit was close. They were closer than, they were 13th, but they were saying, well, musically, which you had mentioned, they were really, really good. Percussion. Spirit of Atlanta, 12th place in percussion.
Shout out Mr. Reberger.
Yes. Pushing Colts down to 13th place. So right now it looks like Spirit's got the music thing figured out. Music performance stuff. Good for them. And you mentioned that. Now, this is more a positive for one group, but I have to mention the negative about the other group. And I don't know that it counts. You'll have to tell me if it counts.
Okay.
This was the first time in history that the Crossmen has ever lost to an open class drum corps. And I'm doing air quotes because that drum corps was the Spartans, who did compete in open class championships, winning an open class championship, but they're like on that probationary road to become world class next year. So does it count or does it not count?
Oh gosh. I mean, technically, like, if you want to get into the paper and be like, well, you did, but like they are being considered a world class drum corps. So it's more like, well, technically, but I wouldn't take it too personally.
True. Yeah. So this is more of a congratulations to the Spartans. Like, you have proven, like, you took down multiple world-class drum corps in semifinals. You're ready next year. I don't know if they automatically get a check and they're like in. I mean, like, check, not like check. But but regardless, this means that they're ready to take on world-class drum corps. So good for them. Good for them. Some finals notes, some trivia for you, which I'm sure you know all this stuff, right?
Probably not. I'm gonna let y'all know. Okay.
According to my research, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Boston Crusaders very well might have scored the highest music score overall. The two groups before them were both the same score, 29.65. That was the Blue Devils in Fellini-esque, the Cadets in The Zone, a dreamscape in 4 parts. They scored a 29.775, which is pretty darn close. So Boston Crusaders music throwing it down, which I don't disagree with.
Yeah.
I think we can agree that they played
so good.
They played the hell out of that music.
They were so good.
Yeah. Perfect 10 for content for percussion. Achievement, still not there. 10th place and 12th place scored the highest scores ever for that place. So 12th place getting an 87.45, which is the Blue Knights.
Yep.
10th place Troopers with a 90.5. So now we have an official. Yeah, they broke it at prelims, I think.
Yeah.
So now 90 is what you got to get to make the top 10, and an 87 is to make 12th place, which is insane.
Cool.
Which is insane. Now this might be a little confusing because this is some nerdy stuff. For the first time since 2005 and 2006, so we're talking 20 years.
Jeez.
We have had 2 different champions that does not include the Blue Devils. 2005 was the Zone, the Cadets. In 06 was that Machine, I believe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that, but that shows you how dominating the Blue Devils have gone. So that they haven't gone like 2 years without winning since forever. But that brings me to my next point. If a new or unique champion wins next year, and by unique, I mean not Blue Coats and not Boston, because those were the last 2 champions this year and last year. That will be the first time since 2003 through 2005 when it was Blue Devils, Cavaliers, Cadets. So it's been 20 years, 20 plus years since we would have had like 3 unique champions. So it remains to be seen what's going to happen next year. But if someone other than Boston and Blue Coats win, it'll be something that hasn't happened for 20 plus years, which again tells you how dominant certain drum corps have been with the Cavaliers in the 2000s and the Blue Devils ever since then, basically. Now, next year, if that champion is Vanguard, Phantom Regiment, or someone else, it'll be the first 3 unique champions without the Blue Devils since 1990, 91, and 92. We haven't seen a non-Blue Devil win in a 3-year period.
We have to just respect the Blue Devils. Like
that's really what it is.
We have to give it to them. Like they know. I mean, not that anybody ever doubted that, but they just know what they're doing.
Correct. And it's. I mean, we're talking about 35 years of just like they've won 21 times in their entire history.
Yeah, I remember you just don't process it until I saw their trailer driving away in the lot, and I looked at the back, and I was just like, oh my, like it's champions, and then it's just
correct.
The whole it's crazy.
It's amazing. And now, granted, there were more drum corps back then, right? I mean, because if you look at it, 90 was Cadets, 91 was Star, which many would probably just say it's Crown at this point. 92 the Cavaliers, 93 the Cadets again, 94 Blue Devils, 95 the Cavaliers. Like we've had just this run of drum corps, and so next year, depending on who wins, will dictate the historical significance of that.
Yeah.
Speaking of next year, Aiden, it is Tuesday. We just had finals Saturday night. And as in sports, I think we could do a quick, incredibly way too early prediction for next year. One that when we come back in May to do this again, to predict, maybe completely bonkers, because we haven't had all of the dominoes fall from staff changes, design changes, cores, this. But you don't have to pick all 12.
I'm gonna just. I haven't even thought about it. I'm gonna think about it and just start saying stuff on the spot and see what happens.
All right. We'll go further into it later, but I think Vanguard win next year. I think they're your champion next year.
That's not ridiculous to say.
They have the 6th to 3rd. They have the momentum, and if you're talking about a West Coast core that, if you were ring chasing,
and now more talent coming their way.
2 years of stability.
Vanguard is not going anywhere.
No. And Michael Gaines and company figured out what was really working this year. And they can go like, if we made it just a little easier, maybe we would have executed at a higher level. Not to say they didn't execute well, but that show was hard. Yeah. I think Phantom Regiment medals next year.
Whoa.
But I don't know who you kick out.
Whoa.
Who do you kick out?
Phantom Regiment and Vanguard. That would be awesome.
Now, why I say that is next year is Phantom Regiment's 75th anniversary. And I'm not saying that's why Boston won, but it was their 85th anniversary. And, anniversaries are arbitrary. It doesn't really matter. We just put numbers.
Yeah.
But what a way for Phantom Regiment to come back into their 75th anniversary by medaling maybe even winning. I don't know. Right now, my money is on Vanguard. If I was putting money down, Vanguard's got the best odds to win next year.
I think the Bluecoats are going to stay medaling. I don't think they're going anywhere.
Agreed.
Do I know where? No. Specifically, I think Bluecoats. I think the Blue Devils may be back closer again. I think 2 years, because as we were just, they know what they're doing, and they just 2 years of them not being in the game, like they and they've been doing it for so long. They're gonna make something, and they're gonna bring themselves back. I think. Kind of dropping way down. I think Spirit of Atlanta could make finals.
I was gonna say Spirit has the second amount of momentum.
I think they could have. Spirit of Atlanta very easily could have made finals this year, and I think they have. Obviously, they got the playing thing done. They just need to get They just need to get the other stuff up, which is not ridiculous.
No, not at all.
Geez, yeah. I mean, yeah, they could be in finals. I think Bluecoats is still going to medal. I think Boston is still going to medal because all the talent is going to go to their audition camps this year.
I do not disagree with that statement.
I think I may think that it may be. It's not crazy to say that we may see another year of Bluecoats in Boston being really close because Bluecoats has won. They won a lot, and so did Boston. And I'll talk more about this in a second. But you know, I mean, Bluecoats almost won. It was by point. How much?
1-5.
1-5. I mean, that's nothing.
Right.
In the grand scheme of just general scores, but I think there's going to be a lot of talent going to both drum corps, and I think both drum corps are going to be. Boston's going to be hungry to be undeniable the whole season, and Bluecoats is going to want to win.
Yeah,
again, because they almost did. So I think it could be close between them because what they do with their design team and their show. Who knows? That determines a lot anyway. As we know. But,
yeah. It was 0.175. Sorry, I don't want someone to correct me. It was 1.17.
Man, it was
why do you hate the Boston Crusaders? Do you like sports, professional sports? Any sport, professional? Do you care?
I've been trying to.
When a team wins
more motivated,
the Super Bowl or the World Series or whatever they call it in hockey, the Hockey Cup. Oftentimes, the coordinators are poached by other teams because they're like, we want that. And so if this will never happen, the Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl, pause for laughter. Maybe the offensive coordinator gets poached by, I'm going to make up Jacksonville. And the defensive coordinator goes to Detroit. I'm not saying that's going to happen to the Boston Crusaders, but if you are a drum corps that underperformed this year, you may look to trying to take the assistant brass caption head from Boston, the assistant visual caption head, the assistant color guard caption head.
In the grand scheme, compared to the Bluecoats, they're still kind of that team is still, I say it in quotes, new. It's not really new, but
true.
It's compared to the Bluecoats, who they've kind of just been doing their thing for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to get bought out of Boston, but I guess never say never.
Well, there would be only two. There would only be two groups that I think could outspend Boston. One of them Bluecoats, and I think they're set. The other one could be Blue Devils,
but also they. Yeah, who knows?
I mean, who knows? Who knows? But it is an incestuous activity, and by that they go well, we need to hire somebody new and fresh. No, we need to hire someone who's established. We should hire this person, and so, who knows? Who knows? That's why we make these way too early wacky predictions now, which we might change. But the next time we release an episode, which is possible, definitely might change in May when we come back. I was sent an email. We were sent an email, rather, after DCI San Antonio, and it is still apt because it is about a drum corps that basically finished in the same spot. Greetings! ! My name is Tyler Dean, and I'm a trumpet player studying music education. I've been following the show since last year and love the in-depth and concurrent updates each week, except when I was sick. I'm reaching out to ask about your take on the recent dethroning of the Blue Devils as of the 2024 and 2025 season. As you know, and as we mentioned a lot today, they haven't ranked lower than second place since the mid-2000s, yet they're on track to do so again. What do you think the cause of this is? I personally think it may be due to the rise in quality of other Californian corps, SCV came back with a vengeance last year and are evidently continuing that trend this year. And the Mandarins have evolved quite recently into an incredibly strong core. Is it possible that these cores increasing in presence and quality could be pulling members who would otherwise have marched Blue Devils? Or is an issue with the Blue Devils design team? Or have Blue and Boston just improved drastically from previous years? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on the matter. Thank you and have a good Texas week. It's always a good Texas week down here.
Always.
Tyler Dean. Why don't you start?
Yeah,
You're ready. You're ready. Go.
Let me just see this.
Okay.
Make sure.
He needs to check his notes.
Yeah. So
it's Tyler Dean.
I think everything that Tyler mentioned, with the exception, I don't think there's a problem with the Blue Devils design team. I think that they know what they're doing. But everything else, I think, definitely goes into effect. One, I think the Blue Devils, at least like post-COVID, they you will watch the show and you're like, that is a very Blue Devils show, which is not a bad thing. I have never hated a Blue Devils show and I've always loved them. And even when those previous years, like in 2022 and 2023, where I would watch Flo and I would be like, how is this winning? Blah, 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 because I was a dumb high school kid. And then I would go to San Antonio and I would watch them and I would go, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
But I think over time, I mean, they've won so many times. And I think somebody like last year, what changes everything with the Blue Coats coming in, doing something different and doing it in such a high quality, had pushed a movement like with they just wanted somebody different and they came in and they blew the waters. I think changes everything contributed a lot to this year because, and the unfortunate part, and a lot of people don't like talking about it because it is sensitive, because it deals with financials, but with the state of how expensive drum corps is, people just want to win. They do, because you're going to spend all this money. And I'm not just saying that's why people went to the Blue Coats. I mean, anybody in my generation would be lying, I think, with maybe an exception of a couple. But like when the Blue Devils were in their like prime, like they were they were always in their prime. When they were winning, everyone has always had this subconscious to be like, oh, well, that'd be cool to march the Blue Devils because they always win. Not everyone thinks like that, but a lot of people, when they're spending this money, they're going to want to go to those top cores. So I think that's also why people would try to tend towards the Blue Coats this year, and definitely Boston. And I think like all the best talent is going to go to those top three groups. So it definitely, and it is frustrating for especially like cores who get a little lower in scores. Like I think it could be frustrating for people to leave to go to those top three cores and they're like, oh, well, all of our talent just keeps getting taken, which is totally valid. And that's also just the state of how expensive things are. And also the projections that I saw earlier that tuition is still going up. So
that is correct. It is going up.
Yeah.
It is going up. I don't disagree with anything you said. I will not repeat too much of what you said. I would like to mention the rise of Pacific Crest is contributing to that as a West Coast core. So you have Pacific Crest, Mandarins, Santa Clara Vanguard, the Blue Devils. You also have Columbians up there in Washington, I believe, is an open class core. So there are a lot of options on the West Coast. That person was, Tyler had mentioned location as an issue. You touched on the ring chasers. And there was a time when you just went to Blue Devils because you wanted to win.
Yeah, people would go age out of the Blue Devils.
Now, I would wager, and with my prediction of Vanguard, you have 4 drum corps that could potentially win next year.
Yep.
Boston, Blue Coats, Vanguard, and you can't count out the Blue Devils. That's 4. So you used to have this talent of people. Blue Devils just got the pick of it. There was a time, and I don't know the exact stat and the exact year, everyone who marched the Blue Devils one year had marched drum corps before. Whether it was of the Blue Devils or not, they didn't have any rookies.
I mean, you were getting people coming from the Blue Coats to Blue Devils.
Correct.
Just to get which is fine. I don't have a problem with that.
And was it you or someone else that told me that they know of 2 people who left the Blue Devils to go march Blue Coats this year?
Yeah, I mean, you see it.
Yes.
I don't hate people who do that. Some people do. I personally don't have a problem. Look, man, if you're going to drop like 6, 7, maybe even $8,000
with travel and everything.
Yeah, you're going to want to get a medal.
It totally makes sense.
It sucks that that's the state that it has to be, but it's true.
And I want to bring the Carolina Crown into this, and that you don't love Carolina Crown either. No. But there was a time when Carolina Crown got their pick of every first chair brass player. They all wanted to go to Crown.
Yeah.
And as staff members or members like Kevin LaBeouf have graduated out of the Carolina Crown system and are now running, he was with the Cavaliers, now he's with the Bluecoats. Like, you have such great brass pedagogy in so many places. The first place brass players are choosing between Crown, Boston, Bluecoats. The Crown staff, there's a lot of former Crown people at Vanguard. You have Vanguard. And then, of course, you have the Blue Devils. People love the way fandoms so you almost now have 5 or 6 different options for brass players where they can still come out and be taught incredibly well and have some great
which is a great
music.
Place to be.
Correct. So it's not that the Blue Devils and Crown have gotten worse. It's everyone, the playing field has been leveled.
It used to be an island, but now more people are moving to the island.
There's only one island, Mandarin's Private Resort Island, as Aiden has said. But yeah, so I and that's easy for someone to go like, are the Blue Devils dead? If we were a clickbait type group, we go, is it over for Blue Devils?
No, they just got fourth. Like they
just
you
got
know how many
fourth.
drum corps would kill to be where they're at, and they know that.
Correct.
So it's.
And same thing with Crown, like 6th place, 5th place, it's not where they want to be. Every year there are, like, Crown is a place that probably sets out to win a championship, or at the very least to win brass. Like, that's the expectation at Crown. And getting 5th is scoring less than they, or lower than they would want, which is fine, It doesn't mean, is Crown dead? Right? Like, it doesn't,
No.
yeah. I mean, and we do this in everything in sports, right? Like, is Alabama dead because they didn't make the playoffs or whatever? It's like, they had one off year. They were 9-3.
So talented.
They're still Alabama, right? Like, the Blue Devils are Alabama.
Yeah.
They're not the Patriots. The Patriots are bad. They lost Tom Brady. They were bad. They lost Bill Belichick. They were bad. Blue Devils are Alabama.
Drum corps are just getting better.
They are. They are. And that's good. That's
Yeah.
what we want. That's exactly what you want. So that was a good spirited email discussion. We have another one that we can talk about later that is somewhat related. A lot of people like to ask controversial questions like, are the Blue Devils gone?
No.
Is it over?
No.
Are the Blue Devils
It's not.
never making finals again? Okay, whatever. I like that type of thing.
The Blue Devils are probably going to win again.
The odds are they're going to win more than they're not going to win.
Yeah, more than they're going to.
Right?
Like, they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure halfway through the summer they're like, all right, we need to come up with something, and they're going to cook or not. We don't know. That's why these predictions for next year are bonkers insane. All right, as we wrap up this wrap-up of DCI Finals, and before we move on to other stuff in future videos, we will be transitioning more to marching band season. And marching band gets crazy because it's not just 30 groups from world class to open class, like it is the entire nation.
Yeah.
And so if you saw last year where I did the recap, where I went into recaps of contests, we also had this weekend in band. All of that's combined into the program, which is one thing where we can just go all over the place. I need help. We need help here at General Effect Media. And so I'm calling this a call for tapes. If you all have any interest in contributing on-camera content, let me know. Contact me. There's the email. Send me an interest email first before we even ask you to put your face on camera, to put your voice on camera. The ideally perfect candidate is already in the North Austin area who can come to General Effect Media Studios and sit here between us or on the other side of us or whatever. And that person or persons, I'm not just saying it has to be one person, well, you're a brass player and I'm a percussionist who judges music. It would be great to have someone who could teach us and tell us why the Boston Color Guard was 0.3 better than Bluecoats. That would be amazing. Or why this visual score was so low. So if they had more of a visual lean, a color guard lean, dare I say it, and I did say perfect candidate, a woodwind player too. Wouldn't that be amazing? Because you're brass and I'm percussion, I write woodwind music, I don't play it.
Please teach us color guard.
Yeah, the perfect person is a color guard visual woodwind player who lives in North Austin who wants to be on camera. Now, there are some like guidelines. You can't be in high school or middle school or elementary school. And if you are, you shouldn't be watching this. Aiden is about to be a freshman in college. I'm old enough to be his dad. If you can fit somewhere in the middle of that age-wise, that would be great. that would be perfect. Now, if you aren't in the North Austin area, but you still think that, well, I live in this place, but I'd really like to contribute, we could discuss how maybe you can film some content on your own. You upload it to me like we did when I was sick, or when you were on assignment and we plugged you in. We could do it that way. It does take away the banter that we can have in the conversations, but if you're really interested and you're really good and we can make it work, we'll slip the video in and do all that great stuff. I don't hide behind the money stuff. Let's be honest here. We don't make any money here at General Effect Media. As my friend in the shoe store says, I don't have a lot of money, but I have a lot of shoes. And if you are a perfect candidate, loves sneakers and wants sneakers and would be okay with being paid in sneakers, that would be great. That's right up my alley. Aiden is not wearing sneakers that I hit him down for how many years now? 2 or 3 years? It's been a while.
My freshman year of high school.
Oh my gosh. So 4 years he's worn but by hand-me-downs, I mean like I either wore them once or I was like, these aren't. And I take really good care of my sneakers.
They were brand new.
And I'm not talking about giving you hand-me-downs. I'm saying brand spanking new sneakers. This is a goal to make tons of money in revenue. And at that point, it would be revenue sharing based off of what we get for AdSense or sponsors if you're Yamaha and you want to sponsor us, or Flow or UDB, who is also in the Austin area. I will share it with us. I will share it with everybody. So if any of this sounds interesting to you and you have always wanted to do this, and you already have on-camera experience. Now, what I mean by that is it doesn't have to be like a DSLR or a giant 8K, whatever. If you are a consistent TikTok, Reel, Shorts person, or you already make YouTube videos, like you have experience talking to a camera in some way, shape, or form, that's good enough for me. And you have to know band. We're about to get into a heavy band season. It can't just be like, I did band 25 years ago. I haven't really kept up with it, but I'd love to talk about it. You kind of need to know what's been going on.
Yeah.
You can be currently working with a program, but ideally you're not like a band director
at a high school
or the color guard teacher. If you're like the saber tech, or you're like, I go to UNT and I'm a tech at Marcus. That works for me. We can skirt around the conflict of interests, but you've seen the way Aiden is on camera, and the full transparency, when Aiden appeared as an interviewee at the Texas Marching Classic when we did show day, after he got off the camera, I went to the other gym people, we have to get this kid on camera because Aiden has great presence. He speaks to the camera. He's not shy and he doesn't buckle down like, yeah, I really like that Trump. No, like you now, and you've been reserved in your opinions that may go a little bit
because I'm smart.
Because he's smart.
I don't want to make anybody mad who could give me a job.
That's pretty smart. I've been making people mad for 25 years on the internet, so why stop now, right? Aiden's like, no, give it up.
I'm staying reserved.
He's staying reserved. We just, if you like talking about band and you have experience of it, and I bring up Aiden because this is the kind of interaction and camera presence that I really, really want. I've been doing YouTube for a while, my shoe channel, which Aiden didn't believe. We are at 98,500 subscribers
I've been
now.
Subscribed since you were at 3,000.
Have you really?
In 2019.
You know what? Is this an appropriate time to put your first appearance on video for me? Can I plug it in here?
Wait. Oh. yeah.
All right, we're gonna roll that.
Hi, I'm Jason Gonzalez.
And I'm Aiden Spicer, and we're at the Burger Mecca of Austin, Texas, Mighty Finds.
And this is Documentary.
This is Documentary.
Did you ever get tired of your dad telling the karate story about you?
Which one? I don't even know.
I don't know if this is on video or if maybe videos didn't exist back then, the phone videos. But like you used to do karate as a kid, right?
Yeah.
And there's, I don't want to.
Is it the video of me like?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get tired of that? I can cut this.
I haven't heard that in a long time. He hasn't said it in a while. No, there's a video of it somewhere.
If you want to send me that video, we'll put it in here.
I think it's gone. It was on like an old.
It was on a flip phone, a Nokia flip phone.
I want to say like a early 2000s, just like straight like DSLR.
Oh my gosh!
It was like the video format was probably like some HEIC or something that doesn't work anymore.
The reason I think about that is because my daughter is 8, about to be 9, and she has the little kid voice, right? A little lispy, la la la. And I was like, oh, this is what Jeremy was talking about with Aiden, little Aiden. Oh, did you have a buzz head back then? I don't know.
Yeah, I did.
Was it red?
No.
Did you ever go through the red hair phase?
I never did. No.
Oh, you can thank your mom for that, right?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. So anyway,
Most of her genes.
if you're interested, send an interest email or whatever, and we can talk further about it. But it'd be a lot of fun to have somebody or somebody's who is a woodwind visual color guard type person. All right, so different viewpoints, different perspectives. Let's get that here on GEM as we get into marching band season. That would be great. Send it to the email. That wraps up today's longer episode of the program. It's about an hour, but we did wrap up a lot of stuff from finals week. We have 2 more drum corps heavy related episodes that will come out. It may come out all within like a few days from each other, but we will have some fun in the next 2 episodes, looking back and looking forward at DCI. Yep. So, are you sad? It's over? Drum corps over? It was fast.
It was.
Man, it's like, oh, here we go. Here we go. So, yeah, so, all right. So we will see you on the next episode. Dress up. Dress up for the next episode of the program. You'll see why when we drop it. So